Well, hello, Southway. My name is Sean Nelson, for those who don't know me, and I am the Christian Education Director here at the church. And this week I want to talk to you guys a bit more about the doctrine of redemption. Jason spoke to us a couple weeks ago about how redemption gives us as believers security. And then last week Taylor talked about how that security then leads us to boldness before our God. But this week I want to talk about how redemption fuels the mission we're on as a church. We've defined redemption as the payment of a price, and that is what it means in its most basic form. Redemption is commercial language. It refers to the purchase of something or someone at a cost. And when we speak of redemption in the church, we mean the purchase of Christians, the purchase of a people for God at the cost of Jesus' life. One of the interesting things about the Christian faith is that every belief we hold affects or our understanding of every other belief we hold. And our belief about what Christ achieved when he gave his life on the cross does directly have an impact on our view of our mission in the world. I'd like to read for you one section of one of my favorite parts of the Bible. It's the message Jesus gave where he said that he was the good shepherd of his sheep. He says this in John chapter 10, verse 11. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. Jesus is here talking about what he did in redeeming his people. He came to the earth and he paid the price of his own life, his own blood, to secure for himself a flock, a people, a group of believers, or as he calls them here, sheep. And a little bit later in the chapter, he says this, I lay down my life for the sheep. And I have other sheep that are not of this fold. I must bring them also, and they will listen to my voice. So there will be one flock with one shepherd. Jesus says, I lay down my life for my sheep. I pay the price to redeem them. But then he says something very interesting. I have other sheep that are not of this fold. This flock being the house of Israel, the faithful in the nation of Israel that he lived among and preached to. He says, I have other sheep that are not of this fold. Now you might ask, who are those sheep? Well, it's believers just like you and just like me. It's everyone down through history who has ever heard the message of Christ and believed in his name. You see, the Bible tells us that Christ is worthy of praise and glory because he laid down his life and he purchased a people for God made out of every tribe and language and people and nation. In fact, we even read in the book of Revelation that John, who recorded the parable of the Good Shepherd, gets a glimpse of this people that Christ laid down his life for. He sees a vision of them in heaven in their fullness, and he tells us that they are a multitude greater than any man could ever hope to count. Jesus purchased for himself this enormous people for God. And he says, I must bring them. They will hear my voice. And so there will be one flock with one shepherd. And so when we think about redemption, we aren't just thinking about the salvation of ourselves. We aren't just thinking about what Christ did for me. We're thinking about a group of people out there who still need to hear the message of the gospel and still need to hear the voice of their shepherd calling them to salvation. And we think about our own responsibility to carry that message to them. As we consider the doctrine of redemption in these weeks, I'd ask that as a church we be praying for those still out there in the world, the sheep that are not of this fold, who need to hear the message of our Lord. Because our understanding of redemption tells us that they will hear the voice of their shepherd. And it's our hope that we would be used to bring the message to them. Thank you.